Maddie. Here we are. Another episode. Maddie Guy has been on 3 episodes already, and it's the first one has been like almost 2 years ago.
2019.
Yeah. If we were to just like blurt out the episodes of the guests, was Todd the first one? Or Kate, or was Jesse the first one?
Todd was the first one.
Todd Mayan, Jesse, and then Adele. I don't know what order. I forget.
I think Jesse, then Adele, yeah.
But Maddie, you've graced us with your presence in the past. You've helped co-host this show multiple times, and I guess the timing feels right that you're here as the guest now.
A solo. It's my solo performance. Finally, I've been the opening act.
I feel like every time I feel like a lot of time goes by since we, between seeing each other, but at the same time, like we see each other online all the time. So maybe no time goes by. But, since the pandemic, and I don't know how you feel about this, but like, I feel like you've grown so much. We've seen so much growth, at least publicly on social media, and you've helped Rudder grow so much.
And personally, yeah. I mean, even just my outward appearance, I look completely different than like if you look back to those 2019 ones.
We're digging the hair, the luscious locks.
Yeah, the long, lighter locks, yeah.
So we're here today. I brought you here today because I'm fascinated with what you've been able to do via Instagram and TikTok with you and Rudder. And not many people can do that, even though when TikTok was first out, that organic reach was there. Mm-hmm. And that being said, like I really want to talk about integrity with brand integrity, and how you've been able to maintain that. So I guess let's recap and fill the viewers in on what you've kind of been up to, because the last time we talked, I think people had an idea that you had some background info or experience on training puppies and dogs, mm-hmm. and nutrition. And I think last time you were on, you were still within the corporate world. Mm-hmm. And so when the pandemic started, you briefly left, and you kind of worked with Jesse at mm-hmm. Canine Perspective. So that's a good place to start. So how was that experience? Because it became your full-time job in a way, right?
Yeah, like a part-time, full-time job.
Okay.
It was not easy, I would say.
Yeah.
It was easy and it wasn't easy. It was easy in the sense that I was really lucky that I had a place to go.
Okay.
That I had hobbies to fall back on.
Okay.
Most notably being the dogs.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to... Am I too close?
No, you're good.
It's really hard. Like, I feel like the biggest lesson I learned from that was don't get your identity wrapped up in your job, because then when your job goes away, what's left? And that was the hardest part for me.
Gotcha.
Was starting a new chapter, but also like figuring out what my new identity was. And I got some really good advice. Somebody told me, when you're at a party and people ask you what you do, you never want to answer that with what your job title is. And so that's kind of like my new mindset going forward, because I felt that burn a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
But so what do you answer with then? I'm Maddie. Like, what do you like? What do you answer with?
Honestly,
because I agree with you. I just say
I do a lot.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's hard to say, and it maybe depends on the day.
It depends on the day and how I want to lead, like what foot I go forward. But honestly, when people are like, what do you do? I'm like, a lot. Like, I do a lot. I have a lot of interests, which is, anyone who knows me, I just do a lot. And then that kind of opens up a different conversation than just being like, oh, I work here, I do this.
Yeah. Did you always have a certain level of pride to establish what you do, or to share what you do? I guess some people have this imposter syndrome of like not feeling 100% in their role, I guess.
I don't know if it was that, but I think it was just, I was really proud of what I had become. I worked really, really hard, and then I felt like I finally got to a place where that hard work was displayed.
Yeah.
And all I needed to do was, I work here, and that was an obvious testament to how hard I had been working.
It is, yeah, because the places that you work, it's not easy to get in the first place.
Right. So just saying like the company name,
Right.
it like held a lot of weight for me, just saying that I had made it there.
Yeah, absolutely. So what were you doing for Canine Perspective?
So for 8 months, I worked in the facility primarily, just doing facility work, walking dogs, training dogs. But I was also building the puppy program there and kind of just like putting my own twist on it. And then I started making content for their social media.
Yeah.
And that's really what got me going.
Right. And I don't know if Jesse's listening, but like, it's just, I'm sure he's he's busier than ever these days, but I don't see much of a presence, maybe because he's so busy doing stuff in person.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of work. It takes more time than people realize to make like a good post.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you reconnected with the corporate world.
Mm-hmm.
And so what kind of was the motivation or the segue to leave Canine Perspective and pursue that?
It was always my plan to go back.
Okay.
But I needed some time to heal because, I mean, you know the story. The way that I left my previous job wasn't good.
Sure.
It really, really hurt. And there still is a lot of emotional stuff I'm still working out there. But I needed to, one, feel safe going back to corporate America, because when I left my previous job, I left because I didn't feel safe at all. And I wanted to feel excited. And so I was waiting for that feeling of excitement to come back. And when I was going through these interviews and talking to the team and hearing about the opportunity, I was just like really excited about it. And so that's how I knew it was the right one.
And that's all you can ask for.
Totally.
And so you're there now. You're at this next corporate world. And was it hard leaving Canine Perspective and just all the dogs and just being around all these dogs all the time?
It was really hard going back to corporate.
Okay. Oh, wow.
I mean, it's just like there was a lot of excitement, but it's very different doing a job with your hands versus doing a job with like just your mind. And I never really saw myself as someone who would be like really interested in trade jobs or things like that, because I like structure. But after that 8-month sabbatical, I guess you could call it, I realized how much I like hands-on work and being up and moving and problem solving in a different way. So it was a little bit of a difficult transition to go back to desk problem solving.
Is it because the solutions weren't as immediate, or like it's not as gratifying immediately, or?
I think it's just being like,
or is there something inherently fulfilling working, like doing manual labor?
I think it's just the manual labor,
like
working with my hands.
Yeah.
And just being up and moving, and
Sure.
there's just something to that.
Okay.
At least for me.
Okay. What was the spark? Because you've always created content with Rudder, but where did it ever plant the seed to like, I'm going to be more consistent, or I want to get something out of this, or like what inspired you to get going like more with that?
Really, the reception that I got when I started posting content for Canine Perspectives Instagram, like our engagement, the engagement went up dramatically, and we kept getting like messages from clients being like, this is so helpful, I share this with my friends, and then the following started to grow. And my brother, since I was little, had always said, like, you have so much knowledge, like you should be sharing that. Like you just keep it inside and you wait for people to ask. And my mom reminded me of that in the beginning when I was telling her about these social media posts that are like really becoming big. And she's like, that's what your brother always said. Like you need to start sharing this stuff. So when I started to see it do well on Canine Perspectives, I would just copy that same post and post it to my own personal. And kind of like gave it a second life on its own in an environment that I had more control over, because it was my content, I was creating it, so I felt like I could post it on my own as well. And
this, it snowballed? It snowballed. Was
so
this
fast.
Was this still pre-TikTok, or was TikTok, were you utilizing TikTok at this time?
So this is when I first started using TikTok, because what I did is I downloaded TikTok really late in the game.
You think you were late?
You were a little bit later. Like at the end of 2020, where most people were getting into it, like, height of quarantine.
Did you ever feel silly doing it though? Because that's
yeah,
our people our age and older, like that's the main gripe is like I just don't align with a lot of the content on TikTok, and so I would feel silly like trying to make anything on TikTok.
Right. So I was actually interviewing at TikTok, and I was like, well, I should probably download the app so I know what I'm talking about. So I downloaded the app, and then the recruiter gave me the heads up that they're going to ask you questions about like what type of content you post on TikTok, what you like to like, the communities you like to interact with. So I was like, shoot, I got to really start going. So the first content I posted was me doing Jonas Brothers TikToks. And I was like, okay, this is not a good look. I cannot go into this interview for a mature job and like they look at my TikTok and I'm just rambling off about like Joe Jonas. It's just like not great.
Okay.
So
have a separate page.
So I was like, okay, let's make these private, restart the brand. And like at the time my handle was just Maddie Guy, like it was on my personal Instagram. And then I started posting the dog stuff that I was making for Canine Perspective onto TikTok. And
under their name or under just my...
Under mine.
Okay.
And it was kind of like this two-pronged idea. I needed content for these interviews, but also I had gone into TikTok and I was just curious. I was like, let me just search in hashtags like dog training and see what comes up. And there was so much content that came up and so many active people and like big accounts. And I was like, whoa, this is a corner of the internet talking about all these things that I love that I haven't tapped into yet. And I was like, I want to participate. So I started posting the content that I'd already made, and that grew. Like my first couple of videos were,
so you don't
30, 40,
you don't delete your
50,000
content.
views. No.
Good for you.
And then I just started to make, original content moving forward from there. And I changed my handle to myboyrudder to make it strictly dog stuff. And I committed full send.
Yeah. Everything we do should be full send. Did Rudder get that commercial prior to this? All this stuff?
Prior.
Okay. So you had some idea of the possibilities that were out there.
Yeah.
With someone's pet, with someone's animal, best friend. And we've talked about this. Like most people have an animal that lives with them that's living rent free. And Rudder's kind of like working for himself. So
until I got more deeper into the TikTok community, prior to that, why I didn't want to get into like the influencing world with my dog was most of the exposure I had was just people doing cutesy stuff.
Okay.
And I kind of felt like people were like using their dogs sometimes.
Absolutely.
To, like just how, like, I mean, I'm sure we feel a lot of like that way about how influencers come off sometimes. And I was just like, I don't want to make that type of content. Like I make educational content. And that TikTok is a platform where people love educational content.
Yeah.
And so that's what really helped me take off. And then I started to realize, okay, there's like a side to monetize this that isn't the cutesy like fur mom stuff or like dog mom
like
stuff.
You saw that out there?
Yeah, I saw that out there.
Okay.
And so that's what started to make me more receptive to it, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Shout out Tom Davis.
Yeah.
So where did you have to reach out to anyone, or did someone reach out to you because they saw a certain level of engagement with you? And was it through TikTok primarily or Instagram?
My first, to me, big deal was my dog's food company reaching out to me. Just saying like, we love, like, because I had just, I post about them a lot, just, at the time organically, and I would tag them. And they were like, we see what you're tagging us in. We really like your style. You're clearly very educated about the space in which we operate. Like, and they're like, do you want to do a 1-month trial of a partnership to see how it goes? They're like, we'll send you free food. We'll make a donation to your favorite dog organization. And I was like, oh,
wow.
Yeah. So I did that month, and the success we had, it was insane. And my platforms were so much smaller then. And so it was just wild how much success I had in that first month. And I and the brand were like, whoa, like we could really reach a lot of people and share this messaging with a lot of people. And so that kicked it off, and they offered me, to pay me monthly and to give me free food as well. So that was like my first big my big one.
And did this kind of spark kind of a rabbit hole of like you want to pursue this in different avenues, whether that's like dog treats, dog toys, anything else? Like, did that spawn anything else from that partnership, that collaboration?
That was the first time where I was like, whoa, I can help brands that I genuinely love grow their businesses as well and be compensated for my time and the effort that I put into it.
Because it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and it's a lot of pre-work as well, especially when I already have a full-time job.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's only fair that I get a small percentage of the business I bring them. But at the same time, like, it's business and I'm so excited to bring them because I'm excited for the people who discover their product, and I'm excited to see them grow so they can reach more people and become a bigger, better business.
And I'll always be grateful for you for introducing me to Marcia for Dog's Sake. And she always tells me like she tells me like I'm going places because like I'm genuinely curious or I care, I guess, and I see that from you, and we see that in Marcia. Like Marcia will just like make recommendations for things that she 100% believes in, and there are maybe some things in her store which, you know, that maybe aren't as good as others, but she's like transparent. So like that transparency, the audience can feel that.
Yeah, and that's the biggest feedback I've gotten from my audience is they trust my recommendations.
Like you're no longer selling. Like you're selling, but like you're not salesy.
Yeah, and it's like it's because I don't accept deals from brands that I don't want to be associated with either. Like my big thing I support, like I'm really big about, you know, supporting ethical companies or companies who are doing things in a better way or like breaking the mold. But I'm also really big about like helping people understand where their money is best spent. Like I'll never be one of those influencers like buy this leash, this bandana, these toys, whatever, because I don't want to sell people things that they don't need.
Right.
You know, I don't want to encourage people to just fill their house with junk and spend their hard-earned money on gimmicks or flashy things that aren't needed, you know?
Yeah. Which you just did your first Amazon Live recently. Yes, last night. And I saw one comment of like, oh, support smaller businesses. Right. And I think a lot of influencers can utilize Amazon just to share these links and get this commission. And it's easy to do that. But what products are you sharing on Amazon that maybe like things that you can't find anywhere else or?
Yeah, so the one I did last night, it was based around like my favorite enrichment feeders. All of the products were like $25 or less. Yeah, $25 or less. And half the products I was showcasing, they're common products that you see in stores, but you can buy cheaper on Amazon. And I was just going more in depth about like what type of dog would be best fit for these different types of products and helping people make more informed decisions so they're not wasting their money.
Yeah.
In the small business thing, it's like I would love to support small businesses, but they can be hard to find. And for some of these like enrichment things, it's not really a small business thing because like snuffle mats and stuff but it's already so permeated or penetrated by the large companies. It's a hard space for a small business to enter into, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and that just, you know, you're always going to have the nitpicky haters here and there. So how have you gone about that?
I just try to be kind and understanding. And if a comment really bothers me and I feel like I want to just rip this person to shreds, I either wait and see if somebody else does it for me, because some people will comment like really rude things, you know, and usually my followers will come in and kind of like take care of it for me, or I'll just delete it, or sometimes I just pin it to the top and then people will delete it because they're like, well, they'll realize like what they said, and they're like, oh, I don't want the attention, you
Oh,
know?
wow.
So
I've never would have thought that one.
yeah. Oh yeah. I just pinned the hater comments to the top.
No way.
But like some of the feedback is fair, and I definitely try to be open to it, but like with the small business thing, it is hard. And also I try to be mindful that not everyone can afford like the really expensive things. Like for some people, all they can afford is the mass made product that's sold on Amazon that's $5 versus the $25 version that a small business sells.
Sure.
It like that's the really hard part. And I get a lot of feedback actually that people tell me that I showcase an unrealistic lifestyle, that the products I use are too expensive, that clearly my lifestyle isn't the norm. And I've become very sensitive to that. So I try to do a balance.
Okay. That makes sense. Cause the lifestyle seems like it didn't change from what I've observed. It's always been like this.
It's always, yeah. Like you've known me for years now. Perception isn't reality. You know, it's like I may prioritize spending more money on my dog's food, but I don't buy him new toys really ever. You know what I mean? So someone who's just looking out from the outside may get a different picture of reality.
Absolutely.
But that's why the most recent feeding videos I've been doing half raw, half kibble to show something.
You did that when you had Tango too.
Yeah, I did that when I had Tango, who was kibble fed. It's like, it's hard. You can't meet everyone's expectations, but
if anything, you're just niching yourself even more. You know, you'll find your audience.
Right.
You have found your audience. So that being said, it's like, do you embrace controversy? Because I mean, the one that comes to mind is like the e-collar. And we were both supporters of that, and they've done tremendous things for our dogs. And how do you do that? Because like that it's gonna like spark a conversation.
I do love controversy.
And do you look at it as an engagement or because you're trying to educate people?
No, I don't. I think controversy is the wrong word. I like when it sparks a discussion.
Yeah.
Like I like getting people's brains thinking. Which is, I get a lot of feedback on some of the posts that I make are too vague, but I'm like, that's the point, is I want to spark people's interest. So they go out and they start researching and educating themselves. I don't want to just provide all of the answers, because also who am I to say that I know all of the answers? So I just like to start the conversation. And I'll do follow-up videos with more details and citing my sources and stuff. But sometimes it's good to just get people interested. But I like the back and forth, because I like it in a public place because you can learn from both sides as well. I just get really nitpicky about people spreading misinformation, and those are comments that admittedly I will just delete if I know if something is objectively false and it's not an opinion.
Or your other viewers will chime in as well, right? Like, wouldn't it eventually balance out? Like, and what comes to mind is cancel culture, right? So like the whole, obviously if it's grossly, like it's just like not it's something that shouldn't 100% be tolerated, delete it. But like, to like silence someone for the sake of silencing someone, cancel culture, I don't know, I just don't see that. I'm not accusing you of cancel culture. I'm just like saying like I think society will balance itself out.
Yes, and I give
and
a lot
you're just
of
holding that
opportunity.
space.
Yep, and my thing is like, okay, if someone states something, but then underneath there are a bunch of comments explaining why that comment's wrong, then hopefully people are clicking into that and reading it. Yeah. But some people just say things that are so wildly false and they can be hurtful that I just delete them.
Right.
And also it's a lot about providing perspective with the e-collar thing. It's like, I think like people forget that where we live, to give a dog off-leash freedom, you need that extra layer of safety. And so I'm constantly reminding people, like, I don't live in the suburbs. I don't live on a farm. If I lived on a farm, I would have no need for an e-collar.
Like, we all can agree on that. We don't want to hurt our dogs.
Right. Exactly. And so I try and be patient and explain. Yeah. But yeah, I think healthy controversy is good because it exposes more people to both sides.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, and that's kind of like why you started this. It's like, I want to chime in on this conversation that's going on in this part of the internet that, you know, that is having a great conversation.
Yeah, I want to share my POV,
Right.
you know. Yeah, like in a very few things, I feel like my point of view is actually valuable. It's very limited scope, but it's there.
So that being said, you've grown up with a love and curiosity of all things dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any part of you that still feels imposter syndrome?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
All the time.
So is it, and I guess I say this to the class too, to the EMT class, is like the deeper down this rabbit hole you go, do you feel like the less you know?
Yes and no. More so, not the less I know, but the more that there is to learn.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So not necessarily that you were wrong in what you knew,
Right.
but there's more to add on.
There's more to add on, or there are different ways to think about it or to apply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I like
for
that.
sure.
Kind of going back to the brands and kind of the businessy side of things, right? As a content creator, as a creative, it can be a little difficult to navigate the legality or like the business side and the numbers side
Yeah.
of all these things. Did you have any help with this, or like how did you first, approach?
Yes. So I'll get there, but I'm very lucky that my professional job is in social media and digital advertising. So I had been a part of the process from the agency and platform side, planning, choosing, and buying influencer campaigns for very, very large brands, like Fortune 50, Fortune 10 brands. So I had that insight professionally, and I know the lingo. I know the media lingo. I know how media is measured and how media are compared and things like that. But it's definitely different on this side of the table, especially when, I'm not Kim Kardashian. So those deals are very different than someone like me who, like, to a lot of brands, I still have a lot to prove. So my friend Brittany, who is Rosie the Cream and Working Dog Mama on social media, she is more of an expert in this side of the house, and she's provided me a ton of guidance. She helps me edit contracts, helps me put negotiations in a better perspective, and honestly, the best thing she's done for me is coaching me on what I'm worth.
Oh,
I needed that third party to tell me.
So, I mean, if most people aren't lucky enough to know someone like Brittany, like what was the advice? What was the approach?
Everything is so different. Like,
it depends on the industry, or so how does one gather their worth, their value?
So, are you just talking about like very objectively?
Yes.
So very objectively, there's a misnomer that it's all about follower count, and that's so wrong. It's more so about engagement.
Okay.
And your niche and what people know and trust you for.
Okay.
So I could have 10,000 followers, but if 9,000 of my followers of those 10K are always engaging, they're leaned in, they trust me, that's worth way more than if I had 100,000 followers, but only 5,000 of those followers were engaging and trustworthy and, wanted to hear what I have to say.
Okay. I think I knew that, but I think maybe, I don't know, maybe if most people don't know that. If we can go deeper to the numbers aspect, I'm sure it's very industry dependent, but does someone just have to like throw a number out there and like start low, and it's going to take maybe a good brand to say you should charge higher? Like is that really how everyone has to take it?
If you don't have guidance, like there are many people out there who are social media or influencer coaches and can provide you guidance, and it can either be a flat fee up front or you can work with them ongoing and they'll just take a cut of what they guide you on. But for me, I had a lot of misses. Like, I would throw out a number and the brand would so quickly say yes that I knew I went way too low.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
But is this after you signed everything? And
No, before. So
but you can't really like
then I couldn't
Yeah.
backpedal.
Right.
So there were a lot of deals that I did, and I just took it as a learning experience that I could have gotten more.
Sure.
And there were a lot of deals that I did that I did it for less because I was undervaluing myself. And then once I posted the video and the content, like I posted one and it was an ad and it got 3 million views. And I was like, oh, I way undercharged and I way underestimated myself.
Let's brainstorm then. Is a good place to start coming up with the cost of living and what you need to be comfortable?
No,
your expenses, because that it's a good place to start, and eventually if you find ads are running 3 million views, scale up. But like is there anything you can add to that as a place to start?
So
to survive, right? Like if someone is transitioning from a day job,
but you can't think about it's beyond that. You have to think about what value you're providing the brand.
Yeah.
So it gets deeper than just posting the video.
So I guess how much they'll be making per sale or something like that?
Or even just brand awareness. So there's a ripple, there are tertiary effects. So let's say I post a video and it's for a food company and it's like, use my code to get this trial, whatever. In order for the user to get the trial, they have to enter in their email address. Well, that email address can be used by the brand for email marketing, retargeting lists across all social and digital platforms. That is very, very valuable for them.
How valuable though?
So this is where the media math comes in and where I have like some history in it. So you can there are more technical ways to do rates and more flat, just like subjective ways to do rates about what you think you're worth and what you typically like get viewer impression wise. But if you want to be really technical about it, you could say like you could average out your view rates and then know like I know the industry average for a cost per view in this vertical pet care is 3 cents on TikTok. So if they were to have bought this ad placement straight through TikTok, what would they have had to pay to get that many views? But it's low. So like if you get 50,000 views but 3 cents a view, that's way less than you should have charged.
Because they're also utilizing your account.
Your real estate on your account.
Oh my God, real estate.
Yeah. So that's why it gets really confusing because there's the straight media math, what the ad
would cost by them.
Worth. Right.
Yeah.
Versus this like subjective, it's like, what is that real estate on this page, on this person's page worth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably a company out there that does the math for you. If someone were to, pull out an ad on your page, what's your page? What's a 60-second reel on your page worth? That's maybe like a broad.
Yeah. So you can use like engagement rate, like companies, like influencer marketing companies that help brands buy influencer campaigns. They have tools that they can input the handle and they get back like an engagement rate, follower growth, average view rate, average time spent, and kind of go off of that. But also like for me, my rates are dynamic. So for a food company, I charge more because that's my niche and that's where people really trust me. And that's where I'm very, 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 very picky. So to work with me in that space, that costs more than something that is lesser value in other ways. And also to me, it's like if you're recommending a food, that is proposing to people a lifestyle change, and it could be risky depending on who their dog is.
Bro, I'm thinking of switching from Abity to Darwin's, and
right.
Darwin's is gonna make some good money off it.
So that's where it's like I almost use my pricing there to block brands out, and that is really valuable because my audience trusts me most about food and enrichment and puppy raising, like those areas. So that's really valuable real estate.
Yeah, you don't just take anyone. Okay, all right.
I don't just take anyone.
And people could sense that when all of a sudden now you're just like promoting multiple different food brands.
Right. So it's like I have my 3 that I stick to. And if anyone asks me why, I'm like, there are 3 different foods, and I recommend them for different types of dogs and lifestyles. They don't like necessarily compete with each other. It's like I've chosen my favorite of each category.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I feel like people sometimes think like, oh, that's really selfish that you're going to take. Like one of my reoccurring brand deals, I get $2,000 every month for one TikTok that gets shared onto my Instagram story.
That's wild.
And a lot of people say like, that's a lot of money for low effort. But I'm like, you don't understand how much value I'm driving to the brand, and I deserve a fair cut of that.
So maybe you've always had this mindset, but like the mindset of not trading time for money, but value for money,
it's
right?
Value. And brands
That's
have
a big
lot
shift.
of money. Most brands have a lot of money. And if they were to go to a creative agency to have an ad made for them and bought through traditional media buying systems, it would be 25 times more, at least 50 times more. Like, I mean, you would know, like, what
They're
you
cutting
would
out
charge.
the middleman, yeah.
Yeah, what a creative agency would charge a brand to make a 30-second ad.
Yeah.
$50,000.
Oh my goodness.
And then on top of that, you have to buy the ad placement. So maybe you put another $50,000 minimum on one platform to run that ad. So paying me $2,000 to make an ad in my kitchen.
Most people don't know that, right? Most
Right.
people are stuck in the mindset of the 9 to 5 and the hourly rate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they see the $2,000 and they compare it to the bi-monthly paychecks, and it's like, that's how much I make in 2 weeks. And it's like, oh, well, sorry, but like that's how much value I'm providing for this company.
Right. And like they're buying me. Because you also have to realize I'm putting myself at risk. If some dark secret comes out about this company, my face is associated with that company, you know?
Okay.
Like they're buying me, my presence, my brand, my beliefs, what I advocate for, what I tell people is good. I'm not going to do that for $100.
Pennies.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. So going along those lines, if you always had that mindset, when did it feel right? Because we talked about this previously, but when did it feel right to legitimize it and creating a bank account for myboyrudder and things like that?
I would say when I got my first reoccurring one, which I'm actually in the process of renegotiating right now.
Nice.
Because I was I'm very lucky that my full-time job over provides for me. And this is extra money that I am 100% saving to hopefully shave years off of my retirement. Literally.
Oh my God.
And so I just wanted a different place to put it so I could track my progress and have it all organized, like especially for tax season and stuff.
Yeah.
So I put it in a separate account and I don't touch it.
Wow.
And I just let it do its thing.
You and Rod will be sipping margaritas somewhere in Mexico.
Fingers crossed. But yeah, so that was my first one. And I mean, my first couple partnerships, I was making like, I remember when I got a deal for $400 and I thought it was so much. I was so stoked.
Did these brands not ask for you to sign like I guess a 1099 can be like privatized.
Yeah,
but like
I send a W-9.
Now you can do like write-offs and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, my tax guy is going to hate
Is your phone
me.
going to be a write-off? Like is like all this stuff, if
guess
you
it
had all this
could.
equipment, could
I
be,
don't know.
What's a write-off? Like you've seen that like that.
Yeah. Yeah, like I guess it could. I'm still learning that part of it. I'm coming up on my first tax season and I'm going to have like so many 1099s
Questions.
to submit.
Yeah.
Yeah, my CPA is going to hate me. But yeah, like going back to what you were saying about value is it's really interesting is I had signed this deal with this brand exactly a year ago and we agreed on $500 a month. But now I'm coming back to them and saying, now I need $4,000 a month. Because not only has my platform grown, but my value has grown.
Yeah.
And like they're transparent every month. They tell me how many sales I drove and things like that. And I'm like,
and are they obligated to do that, or there's something that's nice to do?
like most companies will just proactively tell you
Okay.
as like a check-in. And they also make donations on my behalf
'Cause I'd be
based on how many
curious.
sales I make.
Yeah.
And it's just like a nice to know. But now I'm at this point where I'm like, okay, Like, I'm doing a lot of work for you guys. I've basically become the face of your brand on TikTok. Like, anytime anyone mentions that brand, I basically get tagged. I'm not saying like every single time, but like, people associate me with that brand.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, it's like a year later and I'm worth a different amount now.
Where's Darwin's located? It's not in Illinois. I saw on the packaging.
Seattle.
Seattle.
Washington, yeah.
Did they ever fly you out or like meet you in person or anything like that?
They've offered, yeah. And I would be so stoked to go to their factory. My vet has been to their factory. But yeah, like there's, and they send me like sweatshirts and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I'm like,
I don't know, just on that tangent, it's like, it's very easy to forget that there's a human on the other side of an account.
yes. Yeah. And that I have a life, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I'm getting to this point now. I think the better way to sum it up is I'm getting to this point now where I would like quality over quantity. I would rather have 3 brands that I have reoccurring partnerships every month, and I love those brands and I'm so excited to work with them, and they pay me a higher amount than working with 10 brands every month and they pay me a lower amount. Like, I would like to get to a place where I can just say,
because that's just more work. You're doing,
yeah,
right. You would just be piling more work for yourself if you worked with more brands.
right.
I kind of answered my own question, but like, do you ever set a quota in your head? No, you don't. Exactly. I answered my own question because like it's kind of limiting in a way.
Yeah, and it's not really about the money for me.
That's so crazy.
That's okay. So that's what my coach Brittany, that's what she's had to coach me on the most, and it's very interesting. I'll tell you why. When I started talking with her, we met on Instagram, and that she happened to live in my neighborhood just a few blocks away. So we became friends.
Wow.
It's like really how I've made so many friends through social media. It's wild.
That was going to be one of my questions.
Yeah. But I was telling her about the brand deals I'm doing, and she's like, you're way undercharging. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I don't need the money, and I just love this brand, and I like to share it. But she was like, you need to care for 2 reasons. One, you're worth more than that, and 2, if you charge less, it hurts the creator economy as a whole.
Yeah.
So now I've become more sensitive.
It's a race to the bottom, essentially. Like there would be another creator that'll do it for less.
Right, and like brands should know that you can't just buy people like cheaply.
Well, especially quality people.
Quality people. Yeah. So she's been coaching me a lot. Like, you have to recognize your value. It's not just about the money in your bank account. It's what you are worth. And you have to tell the brand, I am worth this much, and have confidence in that.
Well, and if it was about the money, even if, like it's just a lot of people view that don't chase money, just say, money's evil. But it's like, it's how you use it, right? So like if you had more money, you have more say as to where that money goes, whether that's another nonprofit organization or your retirement with Rudd, like whatever it is, like you have, it just gives you more free time, freedom.
Yeah. And I do some things with the money. Like, I buy really nice dog food for animal shelters. And I never used to post about that, but I did one post on that last month because people were just like starting to give me a lot of hate.
Oh my God. I know someone else that does it in Ukrainian village, and he, every Christmas would donate. He's the owner of Taqueria Cocina, and like he would buy pizzas and donate it to whoever.
Oh, nice.
And then even when like CPS shut down, he would donate it to the families and kids and stuff, whoever wanted it. But he would go out and document this stuff, and then he'd get a lot of flack for like, why are you videotaping that? And just like, what?
Yeah, but it was interesting because I was getting the opposite of people are like all you do is you show us like the expensive stuff you buy for your dog. Like, basically people being like, well, you don't show us that you do any good, so I don't believe it. And so I was like, well, because what? Do you need my tax statement? Do you need to know, everything? And I was like, I do a lot, but like, it's a very fine balance of like, are you humble bragging or are you trying to inspire people to do better?
Right.
And so I made that video of how I go to the pet store and I like buy a bunch of high quality food for Paws Chicago. because Paws Chicago, I donate to them specifically because they have a food pantry that they participate in as well. So people who are in financial hardship can get food to feed their pets for free.
Oh, okay.
And so I really like donating food to them for that reason. And I was like, all right, I'll make a video on it. And like the reception was very mixed about it.
Dang.
Yeah. You can't win.
Is the saying any attention is good attention? Is that true or not true?
I don't know. I stay away from the drama. I don't want that type of attention. Also because a lot of the drama is just so not true or so off base. Like people think they know people based on watching their 30-second videos. It's just so unfair.
So how do you, with all these brand deals, how do you, is it difficult? Is it a challenge to create? And we've talked about this previously of like balancing between ads versus, or like promotions versus personal stuff.
Mm-hmm. It makes it a lot harder.
Do you like, does it feel like pulling teeth sometimes, like making stuff for the sake of making stuff?
Yes.
Where do you get this inspo from? What inspires you? Is it during your walks with Rudd, or like is it what? Sometimes for some people it's in the shower, right? Or like
yeah, actually some of my best videos have been the product of shower thoughts. Like my instead of a doodle, that was a shower thought video. But yeah, like when I'm in a good mood and I'm feeling inspired and I have a topic that I'm feeling really passionate about, I'll make a bunch of videos on that and save them in my drafts. And a lot of the times is when I'm out on walks with Rudder and I just have that time to think, or I observe something that someone else is doing with their dog. And I'm in the beginning, I used to film people like in the park and make comments about how they could improve what they're doing. And then I'm really glad people gave me this honest feedback of like, it's not okay to film random people and put it on social media, especially with your commentary. So I was like, yeah, I never thought about that because I didn't realize how big my platform was getting.
Oh, okay.
You know? And so now when I see something, I just turn it into a moment of inspiration and create content around that.
Yeah. Which made me think of Joe Rogan and the shit he's going through right now. It's just like all he wanted to do was have interesting conversations, but there's some responsibility with a platform as it grows. Yes. I'm
very conscious about what I say. I make sure I have a source for everything, you know, and that
that holds me back sometimes when posting on the EMT page. It's just like I gotta find a source and stuff.
Yeah. And I have my content pillars that like are my specialties, but it can be really hard because when you start committing to brand content, then you're also committing yourself to create content to go in between those ads.
Right.
So that's where it can get like feeling overwhelmed. Yeah.
Do you think there's a means to an end to this?
I don't know. I think about that all the time. Like, when is this just going to stop? And how is that going to feel when I just start to see my numbers go down? Like, is it going to be hurtful?
Well, did you talk? I mean, because you mentioned leaving the first corporate job and part of your identity is gone.
Yeah, that was brutal. I cried for months, partly because of why it ended. But
yeah. It was a huge part. I remember. So I don't know why I'm saying this in the middle of the episode, but like, I don't know if anyone doesn't know, but like you took the EMT class. Mm-hmm. And it started with a conversation about, oh, you have dogs. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, but during class, I called you, I just kept saying you were this girl. And like, I didn't say Maddie. But then, you know, everything else came after that and it's been good. But yeah, one day My Boy Rudder may end. And this has been such a impactful chapter in your life.
Yeah.
And which is a cool metaphor for life in general. All things end.
It ebbs and it flows. And that's why, gosh, like there are some days where I'm just like, why am I doing this? Or I question why I'm doing
the purpose, it. Yeah. Does it go back to education?
Like, yeah. And then I remember like, oh, like I'm helping people. Like there are some posts that I post are like very just like comedic and like whatever.
As it should be.
But then I go back to of like, I'm inspiring people to be better dog owners.
Yeah.
But I think that translates a lot into our own lives as well. Like if you can inspire people to exercise their dogs, they're exercising themselves as well. Mm. And like, you know, the deep interest I've taken in canine nutrition really makes me think about the way that I feed myself as well. So I feel like, you know, like dog or pet ownership in general is like a very interesting like vessel or gateway, or can be a catalyst to helping ourselves. And I really like that part of it.
Yeah, it's reflective.
And it's nice to have a place to give free advice as well.
Unsolicited free advice.
Sometimes. Yeah. But I think like a lot of people just, they don't know where to start, or they just didn't know about some things. And it's nice to have a place that I can like help just get some of the basics out there, you know, that are common sense to me and other dog people, but not to new pet owners. That can be really impactful.
That's the thing, is like things that we have some level of expertise in and that we've kind of taken for granted can be novel and new to others.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget that, I think, when you feel like you have nothing to say.
Like the recent video I did about why it's important to clean your dog's bowls.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got like
made me think
over
when the
2
last time I
million
cleaned
views.
my dog's bowls.
Like, you just realize how many people just don't think of that. You know what I mean? So it's just little things. And I don't know. It's like the training and the puppy raising stuff. It's fun to get that information out there. But yeah, I don't know when it will end. And I try not to put too much pressure on myself about it.
Sure. But having been doing this for a few years now, we briefly talked about the process of like inspo and stuff like that, but do you try to bang out a few videos at a time and just let it sit and marinate before you post? Or because the editing is a daunting process, the filming is a daunting process, and we're just talking about the phone. You know, if you wanted to upgrade to other cameras and things like that, oh my goodness, you're definitely gonna have to like think of some like plan to like, this day I'm shooting, this day I'm editing. Like,
it's hard. That's why I just try to film a bunch of stuff. Even if I just get the content out there, then I'll go back and edit it later. So like, I rarely post something that I make on the spot. I'm usually posting for my drafts.
Okay.
I would say 90% of the time. But it can be really hard because like having a reservation of content's important, because things will happen in your real life.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, like things have happened to me that just, you know, life things, argument with friends, getting ghosted by a guy, something happening at work, and you're just like in bed crying all day. And it's like, well, I'm not making a video today, but I have something from my drafts I can post. So it's nice to have that fallback.
I hear you. These days, what platform is giving the most ROI for you?
TikTok.
It's still TikTok. Okay. Do you post videos solely for TikTok, or do you reshare the same videos for Reels?
I cross post stuff. Yeah.
Not all the time, or not all the time? Most of the time.
Now pretty much exclusively just put my TikTok content on Instagram, but then my Instagram stories are obviously not TikTok content.
No. I think there should be some separation, I think.
There should be, but like for me, I just can't. I can't give that much energy to it. Like, I can't.
And I guess you're always testing. If you find you have different audiences on both engaging with the same content, I guess why not? But I just I'm like, I got no audience and I'm still posting the same stuff over and over again on multiple platforms. Okay.
Like, not every TikTok I make gets posted on Instagram. I know I know the two audiences and how they're different. Yeah.
Can you share some kind of like advice or tips that you've learned for TikTok at all?
Like just like video creation advice?
Yeah. Like, how do you do any of that stuff in a third-party app, or do you do all the kind of editing within TikTok?
Some of it I'll do in a third-party app, especially if it's for a brand and they're going to want like drafts and revisions.
Yeah.
And the video quality can sometimes be better in a third-party app.
Oh.
So there's that. And like the mirroring and stuff. Like if you film in TikTok and you hold up a brand product, it's going to be reverse.
Oh, shoot. Oh, okay.
So.
And in TikTok, there's no option to mirror it the other way.
Only if you're live.
Okay.
I know it's a pain. It's an absolute pain. But for video creation, what I have found works best is being concise, making clips move really quickly.
Yeah. So how many seconds does it take before someone swipes up then? 2 to 3 or less than that?
So there are studies on this that I know from working in the industry, is they say you have only 3 seconds to imprint brand recall on someone, and it's really more like 1.3 seconds.
Wow.
So I consider myself to have 1.3 to 3 seconds to grab someone in.
Okay. Yeah. It's so but I mean, I've noticed it like specifically with, let's say, Gary Vee, and like he would, or anyone else, like they would put the solution or like the end of the video in the first second, right? And then it hooks you, and then you continue watching.
You like unwind it, you unpack
Is
it.
Is that like the gold standard? Is that what we should be doing?
I think it's definitely a good strategy. Also, just using text titles so people know at least where it's going.
What about that annoying like reading of your text?
I get really picky with the text. I'm very anal about that.
Okay.
But sometimes I feel like it's important.
Okay.
Especially if you're explaining a concept so people can track it, you know?
Yeah.
And I play around with text a lot too and see like what works, what doesn't work. But yeah, being concise, having a hook at the beginning.
Good cover photo. I forget to I forget something. I forget that sometimes.
Just like trying to be engaging, like have a value prop. Like you have to give I'm not doing comedy, right? So people aren't watching because it's funny. I could, maybe. But it's like, so you have to tell them why they should be wanting to learn what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I try to start to say, if you have, you know,
yeah, identify a problem.
like identify the problem that I'm going to solve or help you solve. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. We've talked about you hopping the platform into YouTube briefly. All right. Is there anything that your viewers or audience members have been requesting from you?
YouTube.
They have been requesting
every day.
YouTube.
They ask me to make a YouTube channel.
Asked you to
You've
do
asked me. Everyone asked me.
Oh.
Everyone but me is asking that of me. Yes.
And the hesitation is the amount of work that it might bring on.
The amount of work and the mix with my job.
Sure. Is there any part of you that has an interest in turning this into a full-time job? And I kind of have an idea of what you might say.
No.
Okay.
Because it would be so stressful.
Wow.
Because you don't know when it's going to end. Like you could say one wrong thing on a live, like just have a stupid moment where you say something stupid and then that's it. People cancel
culture
you.
Is real, yeah.
You know, and I've seen that happen to some of my friends.
But do you think that you've built such a following, such a base that you would have supporters, which is what I'm seeing for Rogan right now. A lot of people are standing up for him.
Yeah, I do have a lot of people who defend me.
Yeah.
Or who advocate for me rather. Like I don't think people necessarily need to like defend me, or that they do. Need to. Like I've never been put in a corner where I've needed to defend myself, but people who advocate for my passion and that I'm coming from a good place, especially when I'm talking about like breeding and stuff like that. But I don't know, like I love my job and where I work, and it has opened a lot of doors for me. I would get very nervous saying, I mean, I can say like I work at Google.
Yeah.
It would be I would have to be very sure that I want to leave Google. You know what I mean?
And what a good problem to have.
Because, complaints.
Because you're not strapped for cash, you know? And so going back to talking about brand deals, it's like you don't need the money. You're now aware of the value that you're providing, but you're not hungry. And we talked about this on the walk here. It's like you're not hungry for it, but you know what you're worth.
Yeah, and that's like, it's just like, it makes me emotional. So recently I've been coaching some of my friends who are in different financial situations than me, but have very healthy social media platforms. Okay. And I've been doing what Brittany did for me. Gotcha. Of like, I've been helping them write brand deals. I've been helping them shape their content, because I'm like, for someone who doesn't have the financial situation that I do, what a wonderful way to make extra income advocating for brands that you love and being a part of their marketing strategy. Right. You know, it's a great way to make extra money. I would encourage anybody who has a niche of knowledge to pursue that. And as long as you're doing it ethically, like don't just be a money whore and just take whatever you can get, because that will poop out very quickly and nobody will buy shit from you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it is a lot of work, and it's cool to hear you say that, because I think a lot of people have this misconception
Totally.
of just like this, you know, especially all these like Chicago accounts of like nightlife in Chicago, and just like this being an influencer, like in Chicago
could be
specifically.
easier.
Oh, maybe that
Honestly,
could be easier.
because
Because all they do is eat, and all they do is go out and eat.
Well, I think the part of me is like when you're dealing with a dog, when I tell a brand, oh yeah, hopefully I can have this done by then, I'm like, well, it kind of really depends what mood Rudder's in.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
So there's that aspect of it. Or like, you haven't been to my new apartment.
No.
But my new apartment only gets really good natural light for a portion of the day when I'm working my Google job. So a lot of times I go to my parents' house on the weekend to film stuff there for brands. And so I'm like, well, I have to wait for the weekend. So that could add a week of time to my filming schedule.
Sure.
So there are a lot of things in motion.
Wow.
In the planning. Like if a brand's like, hey, we want you to do something with a trending sound. Well, I have to spend an hour scrolling on TikTok to find a sound that fits the concept I want to do. I mean, that right there.
But they gave you a sound?
No, they'll be like, we want this style
Any
of video
trending.
to be like any trending sound. We want it to be humorous and like very like, you know, relatable. And I'm like, okay, but that literally will translate to me for scrolling on TikTok for 1 to 2 hours trying to find a sound that fits.
And that's time.
Yeah, and that's time just staring. That's unproductive time.
Right.
That's like mind-deadening time.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is a good segue into mental health, right? So, like, I've never heard you really speak in the regards of social media and being someone that does a lot of work on their phone. Like, how is it hard for you to separate screen time from? But I find yourself outside a lot too. But I mean, when you're outside, you're also feeling. I don't know. It's like, how do you separate that, or if you separate that?
Oh, it can be bad.
Oh.
Like, on my personal Instagram, I only follow 6 people, I think.
Oh, okay.
And only one of them I actually know personally. It's like Joe Jonas, Pete Wentz. Like they're like John Mayer. It's like this magician who lives in Australia. It's like the 5 celebrities that I like to keep tabs on, and then my one friend who I like to keep tabs on.
Sure.
So, and I did that in 2015. I unfollowed everyone. That was like huge mental health cleaning for me. But when it comes to the TikTok stuff, is like, you're going to laugh at this, but I've noticed physical side effects from it. Like, I'll notice like my wrists will start to hurt from holding my phone. Like, my pinky always hurts because I'm going like this, literally, or I'm scrolling. Like, halfway through the day, like, I'll notice my
You don't have a
thumbs
pop
start to
socket
hurt.
either.
No, I should, but you can't use your wireless charger when you have one.
Oh, okay.
So it's like little stupid things like that where I'm like, okay, I need to put the phone down because I'm literally, my hands
Carpal
hurt.
tunnel. Yeah.
Like, I reply to all my DMs on my from web.
You can do a lot more on the
from web
computer now with Instagram.
And I
too.
reply to comments from web because otherwise my hands get destroyed holding my phone.
I think you can do like shortcuts at Instagram too. Like if you, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But it's not, yeah. So those are physical signs. But what about the urge to keep? Because I have this, like, pick up my phone and just like, how do I stop? Because some of those apps that block it, they cost money, and I don't want to spend money on that. So like, what do I gotta do?
Well,
Lock it away? Like, what else do I gotta do?
sometimes I get like adrenaline from seeing view counts go up.
Oh yeah, it's addicting.
And there's this pressure. I have this pressure to respond to comments because I feel like I owe people something for supporting me, because by them commenting, they boosted my video. So I feel like I owe them a reply.
Does it boost your video when you reply to their comment?
It depends how I reply. Like you'll see a lot of people will just ask people questions in their comments to try and get more replies. I mean, I ask a question like if it's necessary or relative, but a lot of the times it's just answering quick advice or just like acknowledging people's presence. And that's something that I get from a lot of people. They're like, I love how much you reply. And I'm like, well, like I feel I owe it to you. And like, that's the whole point of this, right? Is to learn from each other, is to have a discussion.
See, I like where you're at, because where I'm at, it's like all the reply is like, thank you so much. Like if it's a great photo, it's like, thank you so much.
Right.
I'm not prompting discussion. I want to get there, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's the goal of the podcast, I guess.
But I mean, there's a lot of bullying
Yeah,
that happens
that's a good-
too.
A lot of what?
Like bullying, like
Oh.
not terribly to me, but I've had a lot of friends who've gone through some like really rough times on TikTok, and like, I mean, even one of my friends, his fiance threatened to leave him over some stuff that happened on TikTok.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's just too much. So that's why I don't participate in the drama. Even if someone tags me in something, I just don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
Because people, as much as you try to, you're never going to be able to convince people to change their mind if they're not open about it.
Sure.
And so much of the drama is just like so silly, and like, or people are tagging me to bring me into it to try and get my point of view. And I'm like, I'm not going to give it. I'm not going to feed into this or support this. But yeah, there are also people who will just like be like really, really mean for no reason, you know?
Just maybe just to get a reaction or something.
I don't know. Maybe it makes them feel like
Okay.
they did something.
Okay.
you
But
know?
I mean, okay. In addition to that though, but like do you have that urge to like pick up your phone all the time? Or not just pick it up, but open the apps, you know? It's like, and we use the excuse of like it's for work.
Yeah, I would say yes.
Do you feel like it's taking away from other things?
Sometimes yes,
Okay.
for sure. But I've become a lot more conscious of it,
Which is the first step.
which is the first step.
You know?
So now I'm good at compartmentalizing it. But if I wasn't consciously making those decisions, oh yeah. Yeah. And sometimes even when I'm making the content, I'll look back on my day with the dog and I'll be like, I didn't really interact with him. We were interacting
Oh my
through
God. Yeah.
making stuff. And then like I feel guilty.
Yeah. I was gonna say, how does Ron feel about all this?
So yeah, there's that part of it too.
Sure.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Do you have any insight or do you have any interest as to like where social media could go?
In general, or like
Yeah,
just for me?
in general. Like I saw a post the other day about McDonald's filing patents for the metaverse to host. Can you imagine like virtual concerts and like I don't know why like virtual. Are you gonna get a meal at McDonald's virtually? Like I'm not sure, but the whole NFT thing and the whole metaverse, or anything else. Like where would you like to see it if you would like to see anything in social media?
So I hate to align with Mark Zuckerberg, but I think he's right.
Why do you hate to align with Mark Zuckerberg?
So I used to be a huge Zuck fan.
Okay.
I used to want to work at Facebook so badly. And I grew out of that. But so I don't hate I don't hate
Because of something
Zuck.
Facebook did, or like what happened?
It's complicated.
Okay.
Like a lot of people hate Facebook. I don't hate Facebook. But it's so hard to explain.
I don't understand why people hate Facebook though. Why do
They think that they're a monopoly. They own too much data and they're irresponsible with data.
Okay, never mind.
And they think that they like subliminally control people. But people who don't work in the industry, there's just like a lot of stuff that they don't understand about that, and it gets very complicated. But the reason why I say I hate to align with Mark Zuckerberg on this specific point is because I kind of just like hope he's wrong, but I know he's not wrong. And I'm like, here we go. Zuck is going to be like the first person to do it again. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I want the underdog to be the first person to do it again. So his view that social media is going to turn into like
So much
AR and
more.
VR and all of
Yeah.
this, like I totally align with that. And he already like he bought up Oculus a long time ago. Like he had, you know what I mean? So is it chicken before the egg? Is he building it and telling people it's going to happen, or is it going to happen and he was just early to prepare for it? Who knows? But I definitely think it's going to go that way. If you've ever had experience with an Oculus headset or similar hardware, how real it is and how enveloping it is wild. So I could see a place where, you know, people just like virtually get to, like, social media is like people in virtual spaces, like Clubhouse, but virtually in spaces, you know?
Right. Yeah, instead of the headset, I wonder if like you like scan your environment and scan like even like Rudder, and like you can just like go on walks virtually.
Yeah, I wonder if there'll be like a come along with me on, I don't know, it's so hard to imagine when it's not real yet.
Zoom it wasn't cutting it, right? When we're working remotely and we're having meetings online and taking classes online, it's not cutting it. Like, you're losing people's attention.
Yeah.
Are you gonna add to? Go ahead and add to that.
No, it's just really interesting because when I entered the social media world professionally, it was in 2013, and I got my first big gig at a big agency, OMD, which is part of Omnicom, in 2014 or 2015. And at that time was when people were saying video is going to be everything. You need to prepare your clients to start making video content, because everyone was still making image social media ads, and they kept saying you need to prepare. Video is the future. Video is the future. And now we're here in 2022, and it's like, of course everyone posts video. Now we have entire platforms that are only video. Like, how could we not see that happening? Why did people push back? It's so obvious, right? And so now when I think about the things that Zuck is proposing, I'm like, we're probably going to get there and be like, yeah, this is so obvious. You know, that's why I'm like, oh, he did it again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like Zoom's not cutting it. So, like, if we, like, right now, if we were in the metaverse, like, what if it gets so to the point where it's so real that you can't tell the difference?
I mean,
to the point where it's not maybe like what's real and what's not real, but it's seamless.
It's seamless.
Logistically seamless, and you hold your attention. It holds your attention.
Yeah, and that's kind of a scary thought, because you see how people get so sucked into
why
video
would you want to
games.
leave? Yeah.
Why would you want to leave? It could be your
curate your own environment.
Yeah, you could create an entirely different life than your reality, you know?
I just went down this tangent of like, what if a kid grew up with, you know, one mom or one dad or no parents, and you can just curate your own family, just simulate something.
Or go and that's kind of what people do with social media these days. Is like, if you don't have a lot of friends in your real life, you can have a really robust social life online.
Yeah.
I mean, I've met so many friends through social media. A good handful of them have translated into real life friendship. We have traveled to meet up with each other, or, you know, we move our conversations to text and we FaceTime. But some are solely online, and I just know them by their usernames.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to ask, what has been one of the favorite things that have come from this, from building this brand?
Meeting new people.
Oh, yeah. Same with the podcast. Yeah.
It's so cool. Especially at our age, it's hard to make new friends.
Yeah.
And imagine, like, okay, it's like you have this niche that you love, photography and podcasting and art and stuff. It can be hard to find friends who also have those interests that you could just sit and talk about that all day over coffee, you know? So, like, what I love is I have found other people my age who love dogs in the same way that I do. Like, it would be very difficult for me to go find another 32-year-old man or woman who could just be so happy to talk about dog training all day. But that's what I found.
Before this day and age, yeah.
Most of the people that I text with all day are people from TikTok.
Wow.
And we send voice messages all day. We problem solve about different dog training clients we have. Like,
oh, that's great.
Yeah, like, I travel to see them. Like, it's so much, like, they're real friends. It's
I
so
love
cool.
that.
It's so cool. Yeah. And so I think some of my other friends kind of get, like, I don't want to say jealous, but they're like, you have a second life you have a separate social life.
Even, yeah. Yeah. And even if all the brands went away, these are inherent reasons.
Oh, I think some of these people will be my friends for a very, very, very long time, for sure.
And I think that's why you've come so far.
Yeah, just like being able to build connections, being real.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I love the most is when people, I'm like, people are like, some of my friends I'll like be going on these like random trips and they're like, where are you going? Who are you going to go see? And I'm like, oh, it's someone from TikTok. And they're like, like, is that weird? I don't know. Potentially. I don't know, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah. So do you see an end? Like we've talked about the end, but like, or you just go and taking it day by day, week by week?
I'm just taking it day by day.
Okay. Especially
because with the way the algorithms work, it can be a real mind fuckery.
Oh, just you're chasing. It's a chase.
Oh my God.
And you're kind of speaking from someone from the inside, you know, and like everyone else is like, what day, what hour, like what?
I take it personally, Vic. Like the past 2 days, my videos have not been doing well. And I'm in a larger WhatsApp group with creators of all different types on TikTok. And everyone has been saying, yeah, views are down. Like the algorithm, they like something. And I'm like, well, I'm taking it personally. Why aren't people liking the content I'm making? Like where did I go wrong with this post?
So maybe it wasn't, or maybe the algorithm was just boosting everyone early on. Or
they just do really...
Like it's hard, it's a guessing game at that point.
Oh. Sometimes they do really shady things. Like, so I don't work at TikTok, so I can say this. And my friends, most of them have since left TikTok. But they'll do this promotion in-app for creators where they'll try to push creators to pay to promote their posts. And there's been a correlation that people have noticed that when those promotions are going on, our views go down. So imagine
within your industry, like creators that paid for promotion within your industry. So if someone else is running an ad for dog food, then your videos regarding dog food would go down, or
just anything.
What?
So like, there's this theory out there that when TikTok is running this promotion, trying to get creators to pay to promote their posts, like me paying my own money to promote my own content, that they suppress your views, because this is very real. So it was happening over the holidays or like January, and I was knowing my views, like I was getting really shit views, and I was like, this is content that usually does really well for me. So I went into the WhatsApp group and I was asking people, and they're like, yeah, everyone's having the same issue, but it's probably because TikTok's doing this thing. So imagine you go in and you're like, my views are like really, really low. And then you get a notification from TikTok that sticks at the top of your notification. It says, you can pay to promote your content.
Oh, fuck out of here.
So if you have 2 weeks of really low views and then you see this, you can pay to promote, you would be more inclined to do it.
Well, what happens when the creators stop creating?
Right. So that is their...
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it's shady stuff.
I wasn't an early adopter of Instagram, right? So maybe that's how it was early on. You know, you wanna increase engagement, you want to increase creator content. So give them an incentive to create.
Yeah, which is why all of those funds are coming out now. You know, like
explain.
The creator funds.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Jack Dorsey, the ex-CEO of Twitter, talks a lot about. It's so interesting, and this is getting a little off topic, but I've thought about this for a really long time. He would always talk about, by the icons we put below each tweet, what are we incentivizing people on our platform to do? So if we hid the amount of likes or retweets tweets have, would we be incentivizing people to tweet higher quality content, not just content hoping to go viral or the silly stuff that goes viral? Like if those weren't public facing metrics. And by changing something from a star to a heart, does that make you feel different about that interaction you're taking with that content? So like incentivize, so you can like manipulate how you incentivize people to engage on your platform. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
So he always wanted to take all the public-facing metrics out of Twitter because he felt like he was incentivizing the wrong types of conversations to happen.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just like with, I don't know about TikToks, but Reels, you just like find people just stealing other people's content and just sharing it because it went viral. And
Yeah, that happens to me.
Making ghost accounts and then.
That happened to me recently.
Oh shit.
And no hate to these creators because they tagged me as the inspiration. But I'm like, guys, so, this is so me. This is so me. I posted a video and I was in my pajamas. I looked like a dumpster fire. I looked awful. It was so bad. But I had found this sound that nobody had used before. It was just the original video and that's it. And I was like, I have this idea how to use this sound. So I just got up and that was one of the ones that I filmed in and I posted it right then. And so it was like dark in my apartment. It was at night. I was like wet hair, just bad. And it did really well. It got 500,000 views. But then people started remaking that video, but with like good lighting and makeup on and they look good. And I'm like, oh, like, it's like, I'm not mad, but I'm like, damn it, you just did my idea, but 10 times better. Like,
I mean, you got to be happy with what you got, right? And you were happy with what you got.
Yeah, I was happy with what I got, and they tagged me.
Isn't there some? Well, when there's some merit to people using your audio, though, right?
Well, it was another person's audio, but so they'll be like,
but what you did in it,
like OG credit, like me or whatever, and I'm like, so I appreciate that, but I'm like, y'all are making me look bad because they watch yours and like you look so good and then you watch mine and they're like, hey, honey.
No. There's merit to authenticity and candidness. There's merit to that.
True.
So.
But it's just one of those things that I'm like, oh, why couldn't I have done it like that, you know? But it just makes me laugh. But yeah, I mean, like, to me, I feel like I'm like, oh, you stole my idea or you just remade my idea. And I worked really hard to come up with that idea.
Well, here's the thing then, like how would you feel if all these things like viewer count went away and it was private, right? So you can share it with businesses, but like,
oh, I would love it.
I mean, just no one else could see it.
I would love it. I've always been on Jack's side with that because I think it would take away a lot of people's urges to make really controversial or like controversial in a bad way. Just make like really caustic things for the sake of getting views. Like, you know what I mean?
Inflammatory, yeah.
Inflammatory. The stuff when you're like, I know you just said that or did that because you purposely want
engagement.
Yeah. I think it would create more authentic content or incentivize more authentic content.
Yeah. One platform that has kind of stood the test of time, I think, is Reddit. How often do you find yourself on Reddit?
So I got a job offer from Reddit and I was stoked on it.
Yeah.
I was so excited to go work there. Ended up going to Google instead because it's like, how do you say no to Google? But my buddy left Facebook for Reddit recently.
Okay.
I think Reddit is so underrated.
Yeah.
I love Reddit. There's a lot of bullshit that happens on Reddit.
Is there? Okay.
But there's a lot of really good stuff too.
When we're talking about good discussion, I find a lot of that there.
But isn't that interesting how Reddit, the UI UX is awful. The user experience is
It's hard
terrible.
To find threads that you would be interested in.
Like even just figuring out how to upload a picture to a post is so hard. Like you have to use like a link, you have to upload it to Imager and then take that link. Like nothing is easy on Reddit. But like it's Reddit's
I didn't recall having that experience because I did upload a photo once and the quality was all there. It didn't like compress the file and the engagement, not because the engagement was great. And it had nothing to do with my follower count. I don't have any followers.
Yeah,
it's just
I
like
don't have any followers. I don't even have a profile
what thread
picture.
you shared it in, and it's like that's amazing.
Yeah, like oh my god, it gave me such a boost when I lived in my old apartment with the spiral staircase. You know, I posted a picture into amateur interior design. It was that one and another subreddit called like IKEA made beautiful or something for IKEA because my entire bedroom was IKEA and anyone who came over was like, this is like so gorgeous. I'm like, it's all cheap, you know? So I posted the same picture into both of those threads and they did so well. Like one had like 100,000 votes and I was like
100,000?
Yeah.
Damn.
And I was just like, that's the power of Reddit. It's a really leaned in community.
And not that you're intention was this, but how, did you notice anyone cross over to another platform from Reddit? Or it's like its own breeding ground, you know, like,
It's like
people
its
just
own.
stay on Reddit, right?
Yeah, people who love Reddit love Reddit. Like, I have the app, and whenever I have a question about something,
Yeah.
it's like the first place I go.
Right.
Sometimes I just skip straight past Google.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
like car reviews,
Yeah. Yeah.
dog breed,
I was
all
there
sorts
for
of things.
Carvana. Yeah, I mean, I was with Carvana. I sold I connected with people that were looking for affiliate like links or codes. So like
I do that too.
coupons and stuff.
Yeah. I do that too. Yeah, it's great. So I don't know what social media will look like in the future, because it's like you have TikTok that's all video, but then you have Reddit that's like basically all text.
Because I remember when Instagram brought on Reels, and they're just evolving. But like I can't. What's TikTok doing? Are they just making it more creative to make videos, or like what?
Personally, I think TikTok needs a facelift. Like, there are a lot of things that you should be able to do in app that you can't. Like, you can't split video clips, like really basic stuff. The filters are like really shitty. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's also YouTube Shorts.
There is. I haven't messed around with that.
Neither. People have been telling me that I should just upload my TikToks to YouTube Shorts, but it just makes me nervous because I work at Google. I'm like, oh.
Why would you think Google care?
Because
would care?
Google owns YouTube.
But you have good content. I don't understand. You're not like stirring the pot.
I just get nervous. I'm like, I don't know. I just don't want to mess around. I don't want to play in my own backyard. I just like, it just makes me nervous.
You're playing in your backyard. You're not shitting where you eat.
True. I'm cooking in my own kitchen. Yeah. I don't know. Everyone's like, well, why don't you just ask your manager? I'm like, why would I do that? I don't want my manager to know I do this stuff on the side.
Oh.
Yeah.
They don't. How could they not?
So I have a really funny screenshot to show you. Is I had put my phone down for a meeting, face down like this, and then I lifted it up after meeting, and it was a bunch of G chats from people in my organization being like, are you an influencer? Somebody in my organization got served an ad that I had participated in, and they just sent it like wildfire, being like, this is Maddie. This is Maddie, right? Like, that, right? Or is this her lookalike? And so I had to be like, you know, like, yeah, I do this stuff on the side. But like, I don't know. I just worry because like,
You didn't sign anything or anything.
I just get nervous.
At the core of it, you're not sharing anything you're not proud of.
But like, if you think about like in a work environment, what if someone has a golden doodle and then they go to my TikTok page?
Okay. Yeah, I remember that. Okay.
Like, a lot of like, one of my content pillars is like ethical breeding.
Yeah.
And so I talk a lot about the doodle craze and all of that. And what if you're my client and you have a doodle and you go and then you're like, oh, F that Google girl.
No. What if it strikes a conversation?
Fingers crossed. That's the point. Yeah. So it's just, ugh.
Yeah. It's interesting. We all have our own reasons for sharing or not sharing. I mean, I don't bring up this everywhere I go. It's just if it's there, then I'll talk about it. But
exactly. If it comes up.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess, yeah, you don't want to be that influencer, being like, I'm an influencer. It's like, I wouldn't.
Yeah, and I definitely wouldn't tell people ahead of meeting me, because I don't want them to form an opinion about me from
That's true.
dog talk.
I hear that, but, now that people know.
Right. Yeah, someone was like, do you put that like in your dating profile? And I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
The last episode, like, she took it off, but she tried it once. She was like, it was a dating coach. She's like, she briefly put dating coach in her dating profile.
Oh,
and
that
then
would scare
everyone
me
just
away.
started asking questions.
Oh, asking questions.
I'm like, are you analyzing me right now, or like, what's?
Oh yeah. That would scare me.
Or
away.
just like, can you fix my problems? And
right, they're like, I don't. They like swipe right, and they're like, I don't want to date you,
well,
but I'd like to hire you.
Dog training tips, exactly, right?
Right.
Use it as marketing rather than like finding someone.
Right. Yeah. Should I? Yeah. I don't know. It's I'm still navigating it. I'm very new to this. It's very interesting. It's wild.
Yeah.
But I encourage everyone to give it a go. Like, people like, if you're passionate about something, start making TikToks about it.
Yeah, there's really no barrier to entry anymore. And, you know, you could start out anonymous and then starts making waves. It's crazy.
Like, if you just like eating at restaurants,
Was it
what
was
you're doing.
Was it gradual for you, or was it sudden?
The increase, it's been pretty gradual.
Because
There have
you're
been
very
certain
consistent.
bumps.
Yeah, you're not like, because you don't make content for virality. I mean, not primarily, at least. Like,
No, and I was joking with my friend. He's Who's Your Canine on TikTok.
yeah,
And he's been like getting back to taking his TikTok more seriously. We were just like trading tips. And he was like, I've been noticing that when I get a haircut, my views go up. And I was like, huh. I was like, should I start wearing tight shirts? And like, you know, like it just like, it makes you think like, and I'm like, no, I'm not going down that route of like, no. But it's easily to think about that and get addicted. Like if you're somebody who wants to climb and climb and climb, you'd be like,
you'd be doing it for the wrong reasons.
you'd be doing it for the wrong reasons. And like, I don't have that type of time.
It's either wrong. It's wrong reasons, but you can still have the right intent. You know, like you're playing the game. Like you know what game you're in, and you're playing it.
Okay, but also
you know?
for my audience,
Oh, it's different.
for dogs, would you trust someone with a face full of makeup wearing a tight shirt and jeans talking about dog training? Or would you trust someone who's in sweatpants and looking dirty?
I really liked that series of like, hey, send a picture of like what you wear on your dog walks.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun.
That was a fun one. that I want to do that again.
But how cool is that? How cool is that to have engagement based and like use this hashtag, and then you can find like people that are using this hashtag. That's you are creating and cultivating a community.
It's so cool. I get DMs every day that people send me stuff and they're like, oh, I know you would love to see this. And I'm like, you're right. I'm like, you pay attention to the things that I like.
Yeah.
Like people, but more so I'm like, what an honor that you were just going about your day and you thought of me, someone that you've never met before, but you're like, I know Maddie would like this.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
It's initially, I don't know if bizarre is the right word. I don't know. I was taken aback the first time someone, and you were with me when I picked up sushi.
Oh yeah.
That and then a few months ago he came up to me in person and then bought a print of my photo.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I was talking to someone at this get together, and people were just selling different things, and we were talking, and then she's looking in the other direction. I'm like, can we help you? And he's like, you're Victor. And I'm like,
that stuff gets me all the
and
time.
I'm like, I think because we talked, and it's tough because he might be listening right now, Scott. Hey, what's up? But he doesn't post about himself. Like I don't know what he looks like. So but when we started talking, I instantly knew who he was. And to have someone be as supportive, a stranger be supportive.
Yes.
It was a strange feeling. I don't know if humbling is the right word, because it's like
it makes it real.
You felt high for a second, and it's easy to get lost in like, oh, I do important work here, and it's just like
That's for me, it makes it like very real if I respond to someone's DM and they're like, oh my God, you responded to mine. And I'm like, I was like 2 weeks late, but I try to get to everyone, you know? Or they just respond and they're like, thank you so much. I look up to you. You've like changed my life with my dog. Or if people like come up to me on the street.
Yeah.
But it also it's
cool. It's surreal. Surreal is a good word.
Real. Like you put
what you do. Yeah, no, I try to remember that, and he said that too. He's like, we need more conversations that you're having with locals, and yeah, it's nice to hear that. It's
for
nice
sure.
Nice to hear that.
Building a community.
Yeah, and you know, that's why there was a point where I thought teaching the EMT class felt mundane, and it just felt like you're doing the same thing over and over again, especially if I'm not on an ambulance anymore. But the number of people that come through the class from various backgrounds like you, and yeah, I think that's one of the main reasons why we still do it.
I kind of want to retake it. That's a conversation for another day.
Okay.
But I've been tempted to retake it.
Okay, yeah, we can talk about that anytime. But that's all I had as far as social media, dogfluencer, pupfluencer.
Social
We're-
media influencer.
we're-
That's weird.
We are your number one fans. We're cheering for you, Maddie and Rudder.
You're so kind.
We're so proud. Thanks for sharing some of the wisdom that you have.
Thanks for asking good questions, Vic.
And just a conversation.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right, guys. Where can we find you?
At My Boy Rudder.
My Boy Rudder on Instagram, TikTok, and anywhere else, or just is that it?
And my Amazon storefront is
When you,
also
when
My
you,
Boy
are you gonna
Rudder.
ever like have like a website or anything like that, or YouTube channel eventually?
I should probably do that, huh? I should probably get like a little bio together.
You know,
huh?
like before all these platforms, blogging was it. You know, WordPress and blogging.
I worked at Tumblr for a bit.
Tumblr.
Was it.
Yeah.
With a capital I. Yeah.
Right.
I know.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for listening. If you made it this far, about an hour and a half in, we'll see you in the next one.
Toodles.
All right.